All good,
I
John?
think so. As a quick introduction, I'm first of all talking to you live from a country called Wales over here in the United Kingdom. My name is John Gaskell. I'm Director of IT for Insulated Panels Division. I've been working in IT for over 37 years. And I've certainly been working with AWS with different companies for probably certainly over 12 years. So I've been with AWS doing projects in the early days of AWS. I very much have a passion to deliver real value in IT solutions for the business of Kingspan, of which I've been working with Kingspan for nearly 9 years. And I think, first of all, tell you a little bit about Kingspan themselves. So Kingspan reported in 2023 an 8.1 billion business, founded in Kings Court, Ireland in 1965, fully listed in 95. Kingspan have over 220 factories around the world, about 80 plus countries. Kingspan employs over 22,500 people, and Kingspan is broken down into 5 core divisions, of which I drive IT for one of those divisions. Looking first, access floors, they contribute 5%. Water and energy and light and air, they contribute 12%. Roof and waterproofing, they contribute 6%. The insulation division, who manufacture the insulation board, they contribute 19% to the 8.1 billion. And panels that I sit in, panels contribute 58% of the revenue to Kingspan's 8.1 billion. So what do we make in the panels division? We manufacture a metal sandwich, which we call an insulated panel. And it's made up of 2 sheets of metal, a metal on the top and a metal on the bottom, with a polyurethane insulation that's between the 2 sheets of metal. We have different profiles. So the profile that you can see on the slide is what we call a roof and wall profile. And you'll find it on roof of buildings, for example, supermarkets, Amazon warehouses. We have our panel on those warehouses as well, and many other different types of buildings. We also manufacture a wall panel, which we call an architectural wall panel, which has a little bit more of a smarter profile than the roof panel. And that type of panel you'll find on supermarkets again, retail buildings, office buildings, car showrooms as well. Very common to find on those type of buildings. The insulation that we use we call it a quad core insulation. So it's our own insulation that we use, that we've developed over the years. It's 33% more effective than the normal polyurethane insulation that you find from our competitors. And it certainly gives 78% better insulation than the traditional mineral fiber type insulation. Quad core uses kind of low kind of carbon warming solutions, and we currently are looking to we currently upcycle about 21% of recycling content, and we're currently looking to increase that. And the typical item that we use is plastic water bottles, for example, within our insulation. Quad core insulation panels are also FM approved certification, and this meets the kind of rigorous insurance industry requirements around fire performance. How do we make a panel? So here I've got a representation of a typical panel line that we have in a number of our sites, roughly around about 67 sites manufacturing panel. First, we start with coil. The coil is then put at the start of the line, obviously one roll of coil for the inner sheet and another coil for the top sheet. We actually make the panel upside down, so you can see on the bottom there the profiling. Then we do a bit of edge detailing, and then eventually the metal will arrive at the chemical laydown, which is where we lay down the chemical, the polyurethane mix. And the polyurethane mix, when the two elements are put together, the polyurethane mushrooms very, very quickly. So it's almost at the correct depth of the panel when it enters the laminator. And then we have a panel come out the laminator. We saw the panel to the size that the customer has requested. Then we QA and make sure that the size is correct, for example, that the depth's correct, etc. We then drop the panels into what we call a toaster rack, where we cool those panels off. And then we stack the panels into bundles. And again, our customers actually make requirements as to what they want in the stacks. We wrap the bundles, and eventually they'll be loaded and they'll be transported to the customer's site. So looking at the project that I'm going to talk to you about around IoT, the requirements that we had kind of when we kind of started the road, if you like, was first of all, we had in place currently a very legacy system that was collecting data from the PLCs. It was high cost to upgrade. It certainly wasn't cloud. We wanted to remove paper, and we also wanted to lean the processes that we currently had in place. We wanted to improve the kind of reporting capabilities of the data, and if possible, we wanted real-time dashboards available. We wanted also a solution that was scalable to support the continuing growing business. So Kingspan hasn't stopped growing. We are still looking for opportunities to manufacture panel in other parts of the world. We also wanted something that was easy to install. And as I kind of describe sometimes, we need it as thin as possible so that we can almost have local people be able to install it for us without any technical knowledge, which saves the need of engineers traveling. We also wanted to make sure that we had high confidence as to where the data was located, and also low risk of any possible security breaches. And this one was very key for the business. They weren't keen on working maybe with some of the large brand manufacturers of these type of things, and they wanted to have almost knowledge that it was their own data in our own private area. So what was the solution that we did in a technical solution from AWS? And I've got a diagram here which will hopefully show you some of the key components that we've used from the AWS family. So the first box that you see there is a Kingspan site representation with the sensors and the PLC collecting that data. And what we did was we worked with an AWS partner called Storm Reply, and they provided, I describe it as a brick, but it's a small device that can collect the data from the PLC. It uses SiteWise edge technology with the AWS Greengrass core to first initially store that data on that kind of brick very quickly, and then it uploads it and pushes it straight into the AWS cloud. The bricks are very resilient, so they connect first to our OT LAN, and then if the OT LAN fails for some reason, it can then use 4G or 5G SIM card to upload the data. The data arrives in the AWS cloud, and within the AWS cloud, we've got a number of services running, as you can see there, as part of the AWS IoT SiteWise family, with the data arriving in the core there. And then we use one or two other tools to then get the data into the Amazon Quick site to then get those kind of real-time dashboards working for us. So just to give you a little bit of a tease, a flavor as to what that solution looks like. So these are screenshots taken from the solution. And as you can see, there are orange dots, and they represent the insulated panel lines. We've also got the solution actually working on one mineral line as well in Cardiff, which is the odd color dots that you see there on the picture. So there's roughly about 12 sites that we've done currently. So this is an ongoing program that the guys are doing at the moment, pushing this solution around Kingspan. But if we take a look at Kings Court first, you can then see a dashboard. The line is running, so it's up and running. How many minutes has it been running? How many minutes it might have had down? And then you've got the real-time dashboards there of showing the sensor information, and all that data is being collected, which is valuable data that we use to analyze the chemical laydown. So this data is representation around the chemical laydown element on the line. And then if we just quickly show you there, maybe an example of a line not running when this screenshot was done in America, because America was fast asleep when we did these screenshots. You can see the line is not running because nobody's in the factory. And you can clearly see that the dials there is nothing's going on. What are the advantages that this solution brings to us today? Well, first of all, it is a very agile solution that's been implemented. It definitely does reduce infrastructure with removing of on-prem servers, certainly first of all at the factory. So we don't have servers in place in the factory. It removes also the large infrastructure that we had in the UK. So where I'm talking to you from today, we used to have two data centers here. And there were servers there collecting that data. So they've all been removed. It's global scalable solution powered by AWS IoT services. It uses less required development of other software. So the solution is as it is, complete for us. And the big one for us is that it reduced manual audits which used to take 2 to 3 weeks to do. And when I say 2 to 3 weeks, that's people going out with bits of paper, collecting that information, maybe spreadsheets, then sending those spreadsheets up to collect that information centrally. Whereas now that audit kind of takes around about 3 minutes to do. It certainly improves the quality control without increasing operational costs. And of course, best practice collaboration achieved with ourselves, Kingspan, Storm Reply, and AWS. And I would say that AWS have the industry IoT systems that we very much need in Kingspan. That hopefully gives you a bit of a flavor of the project that we did here in Kingspan Insulated Panels, and I guess open now for any questions.
Thank you, John. That was great, and I want to highlight how easy it is to deploy your solution. You have a very small team, and they are not super technical, but they're able to deploy quickly around the world, which is a highlight in my view. Let's see.
Correct.
Let's see who has raised the hands. And there's also the survey open.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dimitrios. Thank you, John, for the presentation. So, hi, folks. For the folks that don't know me, my name is Lauren Halbron. I'm a senior technical account manager here at AWS. I'll facilitate the Q&A today for our presenters. Yeah, as Dimitrios mentioned, I'd like to draw everyone's attention to the poll that should have popped up on the right side of your WebEx. So please take a moment there, fill out the poll. Your feedback is very valuable to us. While everyone's doing that, yeah, I'd like to open up the floor to any questions that you may have for John. Dimitrios, if
I think
you have anything,
I
please.
can ask a first question, but please think it's great we have John. He has lots of experience with AWS and smart manufacturing, so please take your time to think. But John, I would like to ask you. You describe very nice the journey so far of Kingspan and AWS and smart factories, which is great. What is your future roadmap? What do you have in your plans for next year to enhance what you have already started?
Yeah. So with this now in AWS, one of the first tasks, well, we've already implemented, or the first one in Vietnam, is around improving the QA app. So using low-code Mendix, which some of you may have heard of, we've developed very quickly a mobile app that can be used on the end of the line, and we'll use Mendix for other things as well around collecting. But the key thing is that the QA, or the quality control kind of information, is being stored in AWS. And then the next step that we'll certainly be looking at is to use kind of AI technology to interrogate the kind of PLC sensor information and link up to the QA information to then better understand the kind of links as to, you know, why, for example, was that panel deemed as not perfect, and relate that to the sensors at that particular moment, and also to get AI to highlight obviously areas that can be improved on that line, you know, because they're all different lines dotted around the world, but they all have challenges around different temperatures of their kind of current climates, which does have effects as well. So AI technology could certainly help tweak and improve our kind of overall quality assurance for the future, for sure.
Thank you. That's great. And just say the team, we're working closely with Kingspan with a roadmap and also with our partner to see how we can help them with this, how to enhance what they have already built and have a native and easy transition. Lauren, do you see any hand? I cannot see.
Yeah, any folks in the audience, any questions, please feel free to raise the hand. We can take you off mute. I'm not seeing any at the moment.
I have a question, but better to have from the audience.
Yeah, I think what I would voice is that, you know, if anybody has any questions or want to talk about, you know, certainly what we've done, you know, I'm more than happy to answer any questions after the event as well. You can obviously reach me through the AWS team, or you can find me on LinkedIn.
Great.
Thank you, John. And maybe last question before we wrap up for the next session. What kind of advice or message you would like to share with the audience, like other manufacturers from around the world, about maybe they're starting now their journey, they're exploring if AWS is the right partner? What kind of recommendation you would give them?
I think one of the things that I think is key is little steps. I think, you know, people sometimes try and make their scopes too big and try to make, you know, big steps. And I think, you know, taking little steps, you can get advantages by taking little steps, and that can for sure allow you to understand and learn the environments that you're with. And I think if you work closely with AWS partners, they can certainly help you, first of all, get some traction fairly quickly, but also show you that kind of journey that you can take.
Great piece of advice. Thank you very much, John. And thank you for taking the time to share your journey with us.
No problem at all.
Thank you, John and Dimitrios.